Hey, what's up to all you artists out there? This is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire, here with another video for you. In this video, we're going to talk about Gal Gadot to play Cleopatra. But before I get into that, hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications of when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. So let's get into this. Now, I tried to do this video before, but the quality wasn't that great, so I kind of deleted it. So I'm going to go back into this subject again, which is important. Now, the news came out all over social media that Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, is teaming up with Patty Jenkins to play the historical character Cleopatra, formerly played by a lot of great actresses. One of them was Elizabeth Taylor. So let's go to this article. I think it's from CNN, so that we can dive right into this. Right here it says Gal Gadot let me close that off there. Gal Gadot to play Cleopatra in upcoming movie directed by Patty Jenkins. So one of the things that's important that we understand is that, which is a really great pairing of Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, is that when you're an actor in the business, it's always great to establish a good relationship with the people you're working with. It's going to foster future work. And a lot of great directors, or just directors in general, tend to keep a social circle of actors and production people that they know that they can depend on, and they can call upon them very quickly and organize a production and get it going. A lot of times directors don't like to work with newbies unless they're been proven have a good track record, because there's that cultural and character dynamic. You may not work well with some people, and it could cause problems on the set. So this is a case of where Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot obviously had a good working relationship. So Patty Jenkins called upon Gal to play Cleopatra. So it says, Gadot made the announcement about her casting as Cleopatra on Twitter, writing, "As you might have heard, I teamed up with Patty Jenkins to bring the story of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt, to the big screen in a way she's never been seen before, to tell her story for the first time through a woman's eyes, both behind and in front of the camera." Patty Jenkins is set to direct the film, and the two have worked together before. Jenkins directed Wonder Woman and the upcoming Wonder Woman 1984, which stars Gadot. The latter is expected to be released in theaters on Christmas Day. Now, I don't think Wonder Woman is going to be released on Christmas Day. I think there is a delay because of everything that's been, going on. But we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But I want to kind of unpack this and talk a little bit about this, because I think it's very important, because I actually did a video on my other channel about this, and I use the term whitewashing, and I think that's correct. The term is correct, because Cleopatra was not full white. She was, and people are like, "Oh, she was Greek." And I made the point that Cleopatra was a Black African, Egyptian in a way, and everybody got in the uproar saying, "No, she was white, she was Greek." Well, if you go and you look at this BBC produced documentary, and there's a lot of other information out there that you can research by noted authorities on the subject, in this BBC documentary called Cleopatra, Portrait of a Killer. It goes into the whole thing about Princess Osinioe and an archaeologist, Hal Couture, who found her skull, and this university, these British archaeologists reconstructed her skull. They found out that based on the reconstruction, there's enough prognosis there, meaning the protrusion of the jaw and just the way the skull is shaped, to, number one, conclude that it was Cleopatra's sister. Number two, it looked like it comes from a woman of color, and they've seen that type of skull specifically in women in Egypt, Africa, and they go along to make further assertions. And if you do some research, you'll find out that Cleopatra's mother was Egyptian. We know that Herodotus, a Greek historian who was alive during the ancient Egypt, said that the Egyptians were Black. So I'm not going to go into the whole details around that, but I think it's important that we start looking at Cleopatra in a different way and understanding that she was a mixed heritage, that she was African, Black, Egyptian part, and those people who want to hold close to the idea that she's Greek and there's no way that she could be Black, I think there is just a lot of prejudice there, But here's, and I'm getting this from both sides of the fence. I'm getting it from white people who are saying, oh, she's white. How dare you try to change this historical figure? This is not whitewashing to cast Gal Gadot in this role. And other people, some people in the black community are saying, well, yes, she was black. I'm glad you're bringing it up. But also some are saying, well, it doesn't matter. Let's just give them Cleopatra. They can have her because she wasn't really a great queen. And they have a point there because, there's a romanticism about Cleopatra in the sense that the woman, in a certain aspect, can be seen as a traitor. She was a murderer. She committed murders to ascend to the throne. So she's not a very positive figure that you want to emulate. But here's the point that I kind of want to make, and I want to put this all in perspective. You see, the reason why they're casting individuals like Elizabeth Taylor, Gal Gadot, in spite of the fact that if you want to accept the fact that she was Greek, from the images of the coins and the things of that nature that come from that time period, I think most historians will agree that Cleopatra was not a very attractive woman. And there's a reason, as I said, they're casting Gal Gadot and Elizabeth Taylor, because what Cleopatra represents to them is a romanticized view and a beholding to the white female standard of beauty. And they are using Hollywood as a means to propagate this and to continue this. And I think it's very important that we, not only for historical accuracy, say, well, listen, we have a right to see her as a black woman because there is evidence. You see, it's interesting because they try they get a very small piece of information and they tend to run with it. See, they're okay with no foundation in fact to study Egypt as a white civilization. But then when you come with just a little bit of evidence to say that, Cleopatra, there's evidence to say that she could have been African black, they're all in an uproar. But that's not the issue. That's not the issue that necessarily I want to deal with here. But what I'm talking about is the upholding of a certain standard of beauty from a global perspective that needs to be challenged. And this has a cascading effect in Hollywood because Hollywood has historically whitewashed characters from when we go back into the early inception of Hollywood, like D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, where he had white actors playing black people with the black face, to later on we go to Asian roles being played by white women and white men, Native American roles being played by white men and white women. In fact, I think it's very insulting that when you would have these Asian roles and these Native American roles, to have a white woman play them, which you're in an effort communicating and saying that the traditional Asian or Native American look is not attractive. So you had to bring a white woman in there to play that role. And that's what I'm gathering from that. So when I'm looking at this whole idea of Gal Gadot and actresses like Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra, if they want to go there and say Cleopatra was white, then by your own evidence and records, she wasn't attractive, not according to the European standard of beauty. And in the documentary, the BBC, they kind of hint at that. And most archaeologists would agree to that fact. So let's get historically accurate. Let's stop trying to propagate a standard of beauty. And if we can address this issue, it's going to open the door to allow an array of beautiful actresses of all different colors and nationalities to come in and to get work. And we're going to see a whole different set of standards for beauty. This is why I think this is important, not just because of whitewashing, yes, but I think it leads into a bigger discussion that we need to have about why Hollywood continues to propagate one standard of beauty. And Hollywood is notorious for doing that. If you look and in any movie, you'll have, like, for example, your James Bond movies, other movies where if they have a black woman opposite a white woman, they'll make sure the black woman is not on, is in the same par or up to the level of beauty as the white woman. They consistently do that because they don't want the black woman or the Asian woman competing against the white woman or the Latina. Watch the movies and consistently you'll see this being done. The elevation of the white woman as a standard of beauty and devaluing all other women of color. And you'll see this especially when they're pairing the two together in a film. And I take issue with that. And we need to start addressing that. And this is not to say anything negative about Gal Gadot. You know, she's just getting an opportunity to play a role and she's doing her job. But I think that we need to hold these producers, hold these studio heads to task for what they have been doing historically, which has been wrong. And if you study authors like Joseph Ben Jamaikanen and Chancellor Williams and check out the Diop, one thing you will understand about the ancient Rome, it's not how it's being portrayed in the movie. It was a cosmopolitan, meaning that it was an eclectic mix of people because you had trade and commerce going on and you had different people coming there, especially in Northeast Africa, which we call Egypt, along the coastal region. When you have trade, when you have the Library of Alexandria there, where people were docking and giving and handing over their scribes so it can be stored in the great library, you had a very eclectic mix, diverse racial people there. But yet when you see the movies and how it's portrayed, it's always lily white. And especially with the version of Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, which is very insulting, to where she makes the grand entrance, and the only time you ever see black people as slaves that are pulling her while she's sitting in her throne. Very insulting and insensitive. So I want to bring that up so we can put this in proper perspective. And if you're interested in learning more about how to break into Hollywood and get around things and learn how to hook up and network with important producers and influential people, check out my program. It's called secretmoviedeal.com. And you can go to it, and it contains a wealth of information to get you started so that you can break in, know how to navigate as a newbie, or even if you're a seasoned person, know how to get your project seen, get your script in front of the right people, and make the right connections. So that's secretmoviedeal.com. And I spent a lot of time putting this together, and I think that you will love it. So go there, sign up for the course. So that's really all I have for this subject. And I know there's a lot of talk on social media about this, but I wanted to bring this aspect to it so that we understand that it's time for Hollywood to stop doing business as usual, start embracing different forms of beauty, have a more world view of what beauty is. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today, you filmmakers and artists. And this is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire. And until my next video, keep making films.